Hi, today we're going to learn about JavaScript. And the outline of today's class is as follows. We are going to understand what JavaScript is and what makes JavaScript unique. Again, we'll also see where JavaScript fits in the web technologies. Then we can see what JavaScript can do. Then we can add JavaScript to HTML and then see the syntax and then see some user interactions, and then we will talk about a few sample programs that can be run to introduce JavaScript. Now, what is JavaScript? It is a full-weight programming language that can be combined with HTML to expand its functionality. It is not a smaller or less important language than other programming language. It is a full-fledged programming language like C or C++ or Java. So it is a very important programming language. It was invented by Netscape in 1995, and then initially it was called LiveScript. But then during that same time, Java programming language was very popular, and then it's like they decided to give it a position, quote unquote, younger brother to Java, and then it was called JavaScript. But then there is no link between Java and JavaScript. They're two separate programming languages, and they all have got different rules. Then, after it was named JavaScript, it outlived, it grew, and it ran on its own. Next, this JavaScript is a language that is designed as a browser, and then it is a client-server scripting language for the web, and it supplements HTML. Then finally, it is interpreted and not compiled. So what we are seeing here is that it is a language that supplements the hypertext markup language and either expands its functionality, making it more robust, more powerful, and more usable. And then it is more efficient or better to be used because in any case it is interpreted. Now, what makes JavaScript unique? Now, there are three great things about JavaScript. One, there is full integration between JavaScript with HTML and or CSS. So that means it can get its functions or tools within the HTML, which makes it very powerful. And then it is very simple, and the good thing is that most browsers or major browsers support JavaScript. So platform independent, so meaning it can run anywhere, it can perform very many other things. And this JavaScript is the only browser technology that combines all these three things we talked about above here: full integration, simplicity, and support by all major browsers. So JavaScript is a very important browser technology. Then finally, JavaScript also allows developers to create servers, mobile application, gaming, and then art, and many other applications. So JavaScript would really be used to really like make the web world more powerful and more versatile. So it is used in various other categories in web and programming languages. So it's a very unique program. Now, if you recall, during our introductory classes, we illustrated how the client and the server communicate. Now, where does JavaScript fit in that description? Now, you recall that the client opens a connection to the server, and then the server sends the request, and then the client sends a request to the server. You first open the connection, and then you send a request to the server, and then after that, the server would respond to the client, and then the client server will close their connection, and then thereafter, that is the fifth step. Now, the client will now render or display all the information that has been sent from the server. Now, when it is displaying that information from the server, now that is the time when any JavaScript code within the HTML will also be able to run or show. So that's where this JavaScript fit in. Now, then what can JavaScript do? Very many things. Then during that loading time, it can dynamically modify the HTML page, or react to user input, or validate the user input, or it can also be used to create some cookies. So it would perform lots of activities that can be classified as interactive activities. So finally, we say the JavaScript user interaction does not require any communication to the server. The server client communication was already closed up, and now the script was running at the client side. So this is what JavaScript can do. So what happens is that we can add JavaScript to HTML. Now, JavaScript needs to be included as an integral part of an HTML document. This means that there is a tag that was implemented by the Netscape company. Now, this tag is called as the script tag. So the script container means inside the opening and the closing tag, script tag. So we have all scripting statements being written inside the script container tag. And we need to realize that it is also possible to load a script that is an external file. We can do that or use this scripting tag, including identifying the source, the path, and the file that contains the script, and it can always be loaded, just like we did for CSS. We had an external .css file which was loaded, and it can perform various activities. So JavaScript can be included anywhere in the header or in the body of an HTML file. Now, the syntax is basically the programming rules. Now, JavaScript would more often, or you can be able to end the program with a semicolon, or you can just decide to omit that. It is optional, but then it's always good practice to just include the semicolon. And then JavaScript white spaces and line breaks are ignored, except when you're dealing with strings and regular expressions. Again, JavaScript is case sensitive, meaning that all keywords, variable names, and all identifiers should be used consistently. Don't mix the cases to represent one type of identifier or variable name, something like that. So consistency is Very important. Now, JavaScript also support commenting, either single line and multi-line commenting. They are all supported in JavaScript. If you've done C++ or Java, you know how single line comment is utilized, or a multi-line comment is utilized. And finally, we need to understand that JavaScript statements is just nothing but a combination of values, operators, expression, keywords, comments, all put together to perform some important functionality. Now, JavaScript is an important user interaction script that is used on web pages or websites. Now, there are three built-in methods for doing this simple user interactions. Number one, we call them alerts. Number two, confirms. And number three, we have prompts. Now, alerts are used to alert the user that something has happened, either incorrect information input, or clicking at the wrong place, or invalid result from calculation. It's just an alert message that the user needs to note. Secondly, we have confirm messages. These are messages which ask the user to confirm or cancel something. So it's like you're being requested by the system to either click an OK or to cancel something. Now that is a confirm message. Then finally, we have a prompt message. This asks the user to enter in some text. So this is whereby we have an interaction now between the user and the system, and in this case the system is able to take in information from the user and act upon it, unlike the alerts whereby you have just to either click a yes or a no, or to get some alert from something. So prompt is a little bit more interactive. So this is what we are supposed to see in a website. As the website keeps on running, is it's trying to render its information, then we can have these alerts coming in, or confirms, or prompts coming up. These are all run by scripts, and to be more precise, JavaScripts. Now, we are going to run some programs, JavaScript programs, in our next lecture. But these are the programs that are going to be run. Number one, how to include a JavaScript in an HTML file. Number two, outputting HTML tags from JavaScript. Number three, special characters from JavaScript. Number four, script alert methods. 5, prompt methods. Number 6, concatenation in JavaScript. This is the introductory programs in JavaScript. We will get more as we progress. See you in the next practical lab lecture. Thank you.